They say performance has an expiration date, but what if they're wrong? No matter where you start, the goal's the same: to be better, stronger, wiser, bolder. We're here for the relentless, those that don't back down, don't compromise, and don't quit. This is training for Masters athletes by Masters athletes, with a community that holds you steady. So say goodbye to random workouts, because whether you're stepping into following a program for the first time or stepping onto the podium, your journey starts here.
All right, Boulder Athletes. Hello, team. It is the Boulder Athlete Podcast. I am Josh, and I'm here with Ashley Carlson. And once again, I'm excited to have a great conversation. And Ashley, I really appreciate you making time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Heck yeah. So, Ashley, we are going to kick off with a lightning round, and there's just nowhere to hide in the lightning round. Are you ready to rock?
Ready? Let's do it.
Okay, there's 10 questions.
Okay.
I'll try to name each of the questions so we know where we're at. Now, I think you were a gym owner and coach for quite some time. So, what is your biggest gym pet peeve?
Not putting stuff away, just not cleaning up after yourself.
100%. Probably goes at home as well, but definitely in the gym.
Yes.
Second question, if you could coach any pro CrossFit athlete, who would you want to coach?
To be honest, I don't follow a lot of pros. Yeah, I got nothing.
Awesome. Okay, we're moving right on. That's your
Okay.
answer. That's okay. There's no wrong answers. What's your favorite cheat meal?
My favorite cheat meal, Lou Malnati's pizza.
What's better, a good night's sleep or a PR?
Oh. Nowadays, a good night's sleep because they're fewer and far between.
If you could relive a single day of your life, what would it be?
Probably the birth of my son.
That's
There's a lot of,
yeah, that's a
stuff in that too.
yeah, a tough day, but a miraculous day for sure. Okay, what's your superpower?
I think just being able to relate to anybody and kind of just talk to anybody, have conversations. I've been a personal trainer for a long time and just have been able to meet so many people through over the years and be able to just connect on different levels and different wavelengths.
Yeah, great answer. And that is a superpower. As a former personal trainer, I absolutely consider that a superpower. What is something that you're really proud of outside of the gym?
I think just overcoming some adversity in life, whether it be just divorce, single mom, injuries.
What's a small thing in your life right now that's bringing you joy?
I think this last year, just finding a new passion for competing, kind of finding myself again. We go deeper into this, but my son is in middle school now, so he's like slowly, finding his own life, and so just kind of rediscovering the things that I'm passionate about.
If you had a day with zero responsibilities, how would you spend that day?
If I could do anything, I would love to just be outdoors, go hike, enjoy a good coffee. I love to visit coffee shops, have a good book, and be able to read more than a couple of pages at a time.
Yeah.
And hopefully be with one or two people that I just care about.
This one is our last question. This should officially be the last question. What's something that you have learned recently?
Actually, today I just learned that fasting can be very beneficial for like injury recovery, and that when you're in a fasted state, your body can actually help heal.
So Ashley, this is kind of typically where we go next, is like background, because that's really where this whole podcast thing started. Is we just have so many great athletes and so many cool stories and people doing unique things and just living all the nuances of life. I would love for you to unpack a little bit of that. Don't let me prescribe what you share, but some things that you already shared in advance that I thought were interesting was your background in gymnastics. We had Christy, who was on as well a couple podcasts ago. She had a background in gymnastics and very familiar with just the level of dedication and all that requires to be a competitive gymnast. So I'd love for you to go there. And then any things that have kind of been life shaping for you growing up. Just take me wherever you want to take me with that.
I played all sports growing up until about like 7th grade. I had to kind of commit to gymnastics or go off and do other ones. Um, Very competitive through high school, injured my back and had to stop. So I finished out my senior year, but wasn't able to move on with it. Coached for many years after that through college, and even after college, I coached at a high school level. Then in college, I went to a very small private college, and I missed being an athlete, and so I played softball. So I played college softball for 3 years. Had fun with that. So then I was able to play in like adult leagues after, and just I've always loved just being part of like a team and athletics. So when I tried CrossFit for the first time, it just brought back like these feelings of gymnastics, right? Like just the competitive gymnastics is a very like individualized sport. However, you are also part of a team, and CrossFit's kind of the same. You're part of a community, but yet it's like an individualized sport. So I was hooked. I was hooked from the day I tried it. Then I started to get into it, started to compete a little bit, and then I found out I was pregnant. So I kind of put a little hold on it, and then after I had my son, started up again, and we opened up a gym, went to regionals a couple years
As an individual?
as an individual. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
excellent. That's
To
cool.
2014 and 16. And I did some other, granite games, as an individual and team a couple years, a lot of local competitions. So definitely helped get me through a divorce, and helped
Mm,
when on the weekends, like I had a 2-year-old son when I got divorced. So I never thought that I would be not with him every other weekend. And so that's kind of how I filled my time, just to help mentally. It was definitely like my therapy for in a lot of ways, just to help
yeah.
get through. So I'd find whatever local competitions or whatever that were on weekends I didn't have him, and just do that.
Just the competitive piece. There is so much opportunity to kind of be a healthy distraction.
Yeah,
You can get focused on that and you can kind of harness your efforts and your energy into a certain place and then get to go express that in a competitive
yeah,
environment. That's really cool.
yeah.
But, in terms of therapy, the other thing that comes along with that is like the community is just,
Uh,
it's everywhere. You don't have CrossFit without community. And like especially if you're like a gym owner, man, that's probably one of the things you're most focused on is how do you create that for others? And then also like how do you lean into that yourself and how do you find the benefits of that and the support that come along with community when you're going through something like a divorce, which is, obviously incredibly challenging. And I got a bubble going on here.
That's like
That
our
was cool. Yeah, I didn't why.
popping
How
up.
do we get that back? Sorry, that just flipped the mood a little bit, but
That's
talk
good.
to me about like maybe community and how that kind of helped navigate that season of life.
Yeah. So it was challenging. I fought to keep the gym that we owned, and I lost. And I
Mm,
moved on, and it really kind of showed me who my close people were.
yeah.
And moved to another gym, had some people, kind of come along with me, and I definitely had a handful of people who were my support system, along with just like my family, along with my faith and awesome community. We actually have an awesome community at our gym who go to the same church, but a bunch of us are in a Bible study together and a bunch of us go to church together. So that's current now. Um, so I'm just loving this like community that I've got going on right now here.
I'm glad that you have that. It's reminded me, I actually had this conversation. I was speaking with like a leadership coach today, and the topic came up of like in moments of crisis or hardship, the things that get exposed
Mhm.
in the midst of those moments, from an environmental perspective, from a people perspective, from your own values and character perspective, like things really get put to the test when you're kind of in the pressure cooker of a difficult circumstance. Even traumatic as a lot of that can be, and it's not easy to navigate that. What lies on the other side can be so good,
Mhm.
because you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about others, you learn what to do and what not to do, and where you want to invest your time, the people you want to invest in. It's hard to find that perspective in the midst of
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
sometimes, but when you get to the other side, hopefully you can look back and say like, yeah, I wouldn't want to do that again, but I'm a different person because of it, and I think I'm better in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it made me stronger in so many ways. It definitely it I think too as a parent, like when you're going through something like that, you are forced to really like when I had my son, that's my time with him and I just poured into him, but then when I didn't have him, that was my time to like I feel like I kind of almost got the best of both worlds, right? Where I still got to live my life and I would get my errands done. I would get together with my friends when I didn't have him, but when I had him, man, I and still, but like again, he's in middle school. He doesn't care about, but I make him spend a little time
Yeah.
with me. But I would take that time and just pour into him that much more, knowing that my time
Yeah.
was more limited with him.
I'm thinking right now, I don't even know if I have a question around it. I'm just like kind of like life with a middle schooler,
Yes.
because I'm like, oh man, I got one, and we're going through it now. She's 12, going on like 30,
Gosh, yeah.
right? And she's now a young woman, and so she's going through all the things, and we're navigating all that, and it's just been like it's been incredible, honestly. It's been incredible. I'm curious, what is life like for you right now, navigating,
Middle school.
a young man?
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's a boy's boy. He wants to be with his boys all the time. He's in travel baseball, football. Those are his two big things right now. The battle with the cell phones these days, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
But he's a good kid. I mean, it's hard too finding that balance of like I want to be your friend to some extent, but I'm still your mom. And he's always like bro, and I'm like I'm not your bro. Like I am your mother. Stop calling me bro. Like I get that all
Yeah.
the time, and I'm like stop. But
Mm,
but he's my little best friend, and we've done a lot together. And I think also that's like another reason he's grown up in the gym with me. He's seen
mm,
I want him to see and know that like he has a strong mom, not just physically, but mentally and everything. But then also just to be able to do things with him and to be active with him and keep up with him and
mhm.
I think it's fun and it's an important value for me.
I can just imagine the moments where he's like, "Whoa, dang, mom!"
Yeah.
Like, "Wow,
Yeah.
okay, mom's got it."
Yeah.
Like that's awesome.
It's been kind of fun, and he'll, when he tells his friends or something, I'm kind of like, "Ah, okay, cool."
Yeah, well, like my mom can do like all these things in the gym, and that's cool. When he's proud of mom,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
heartwarming for sure.
Yeah, this past, I'd say like 6 months, he's like, "Hey, any day that I don't have practice, can we go to the gym?" I'm like, "Yeah, we can." Like, so he's been coming in and doing like a little bit. And then the other day he's like, "I really want to get a muscle up." And I'm like, "Okay, well, you have to like, you can't just get up and do it. So we have
Yeah,
to put in the work, build the steps." So, but it's fun to see him kind of gain some interest in stuff like this. So,
for me, yeah, I want my kid to be in the gym. I would love for them to come in there and do all the things, but I can't. I'm not pushing it.
right.
It's not like, hey, on Tuesdays and Thursdays we do that. Like that's not the thing. And so, like, how do you approach that? Is it a part of a conversation that you guys have, living like a healthy life and, a life with fitness included? Or is it just like, hey, lead by example and,
Yeah.
see what they follow?
Little bit of both. I mean, I definitely think the biggest thing is leading by example and him seeing that it's it's a lifestyle and it's just part of it's what I do, on an almost daily basis that I make that choice, Um, and then from like an athlete perspective, like if you want to be the best, you have to put in the work, right? And you have to do what nobody else is willing to do. And whether that's showing up early and leaving later, or, on those days where you just want to talk yourself out of going, or, you may have to say no to a lot more things in order to do the thing you want. So just kind of lightly talking to him about that, like, hey, if you want to be the best baseball player, like you have to do a little bit more than what everybody else is doing. And if that means coming to the gym with me, then let's go, and I never force it. Like I'm very much let him kind of say, hey, how are you feeling today? I'll encourage it, like, or I'll be like, okay, we're going to the gym, and hey, instead of like jumping right on your phone, why don't you do a little bit? And some days I'll be like, hey, why don't you do this and this? And he'll be like, no, I just want to do buys and tries. And I'm like, all right, just do buys and tries.
You're moving in there. That's where it starts.
Yeah, so sometimes he
Yeah.
just kind of like moves around, and I'm like, I think he's a very active kid. He plays a lot of sports. He's running around with his kids. So I'm like, that's my biggest thing. Like, I just want him to be active. And whatever that is, let him kind of figure that out.
Yeah, well said. We take a similar approach for sure. Like my wife is more dedicated than I am, I would say, and with total confidence, she's even more disciplined than I am. But that's our household, and we're pretty structured. We're very disciplined, and we just live a healthy life. But we're also then very flexible, and so we allow things to happen, and we got to go enjoy that and soak it up, and there's no regrets there. And then guess what? We flex back to doing our thing and getting back into routine, and so we're very intentional about the kinds of behaviors that we exhibit and the kinds of things that we allow our kids to observe, because that's ultimately the most powerful teaching tools that we have is what we're doing, not what we're saying. Hopefully what we're saying is reinforcing what we're doing. We're definitely at that stage, like our daughter, she's 12 and she's playing, premier soccer, and she's into all the things. And so we're like, hey, you're a good soccer player. Do you want to be a great soccer player?
Yeah.
Like, because
Yeah.
if you do, guess what? Everybody else is doing a little extra.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing a little extra, then that's going to show. And like, you just need to know that.
Yep.
And if you don't want to do it, then let's talk about what that looks like.
Right.
If you do want to do it, then here's some of the things that you're going to gain along the way. And
Seeing what they pick up and stuff, like, he started drinking protein shakes for breakfast in the morning, and just
yeah,
about the importance of getting protein in, and I'm by no means strict. I mean, we definitely splurge and stuff, our Friday night pizzas or whatever, but he watches me meal prep, and then he'll be like, "Can I try that?" And then, he'll like, "Oh, I really like this. Can you make this for me more?" And, he's at the age where he makes his own lunches now, and I'm like, what'd you put in your lunch? And now he's like, "Oh, I had I had my protein, I had my chicken nuggets." But it's fun to hear him like learn that stuff.
I mean, gosh, I don't know what your childhood was like, but we weren't talking about proteins and
No,
carbs
I
and
didn't even know what that was until
no, like it was just fend for yourself, Burger King as many times as I can get there. Like it was just madness. And
yeah,
thankfully, I
survived.
righted the ship somewhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, what a cool, it's really a blessing. Not that he really will identify that, nor do I think my kids get it at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but to grow up, like learning these things and how it can set them up for success doesn't mean it will. They're going to make their own choices, but at least feel like you're doing the right things in the right way to help give them a little bit of a healthy advantage is certainly pretty powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Let's shift gears a little bit. You had mentioned in advance this injury that you had gone through, and I think it was December of 2020. You had mentioned pretty serious injury, and it definitely impacted you and kind of your road to recovery. I would really like to hear more about the injury itself, kind of how it just affected you, and then what did that journey look like, and where are you today,
Yeah.
in that journey?
Yeah, so I had kind of briefly mentioned that I had to stop gymnastics because I had an injury. I
Hmm.
herniated a disc pretty significantly. Um, it caused it forced me to stop being able to do certain things in gymnastics, which ultimately made me stop doing it. It actually wasn't until my freshman year of college in 2000 that it really, like, I woke up and my whole like right leg was numb. I could barely stand up straight without getting that shooting pain. Fast forward, I got an epidural shot. It it worked. Like some people it doesn't work for. It worked. I felt great. Um,
Hmm.
Played college softball, no problems. I was very hesitant to start CrossFit because it just like so much of CrossFit went against everything I learned initially, like with my personal training certificate and everything. But I learned technique. I got into it and I was great. And I would get a sore back, but nothing significant. I mean, competed obviously very, very competitively for years,
Yeah.
and nothing more than just a little ache. So fast forward to 2020. Well, I was one Friday night. This is kind of a weird random thing. I was sitting in my garage on a little box, sanding a piece of wood, and I stood up, and my entire right leg just like it just pain down my whole right leg. It went numb. It felt like just that horrible sciatica. I like tried sitting on a ball. I probably pissed it off more, just like trying to like make it feel better. So that was Friday, and I couldn't get in till Monday, and I was literally miserable. I had such bad pain down the like side of my calf and into my feet, or my foot. Things that happened was I had like complete drop foot. So I had no, like my toes were just like dangling. Um,
Yeah.
I could barely walk. I remember I was walking just barefoot in on a carpeted floor, and I just tripped, and I like fell on my hands and knees, and I just started crying, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like just walking. I didn't know if this was going to be my new reality, if this would ever get better. So I'd go to this guy, and he said basically that it was like my nerves got run over by a semi truck. It's like you might you might get some of that back. You might not get any of it back. You might get all of it back. So he helped me so much. And it was very slow, but I would always, you hit those points and you're like, oh, this feels better. Oh, I've got a little more movement. Like, and then like I would go by and then all of a sudden you'd be like, oh,
Little checkpoints and signals that you're making some progress.
yeah. I do not want to get surgery if I don't have to. Like that is my absolute last resort.
Yeah.
So I kept going to him, kept working on it, on my own stuff. I was doing just more strength and conditioning, bodybuilding, if you will. I wasn't really doing a lot of CrossFit at the time. It was just trying to rebuild that strength and get that balance back, and then do whatever else I could do, upper body and all of that. Running.
This is what year?
This was
I think
this was
2020. You said you injured.
2021, pretty much
Okay.
2021. Um, I mean, I thought running was out of the picture. And, I love, like I mentioned, I love hiking, and I would go on these hikes and catch a little rock. And again, my ankle would roll. Like just my stability was so off. Over time, it just continued to just improve. Which was just a miracle. I mean, just a complete miracle, because I didn't think I would ever be able to do like
Yeah.
just normal life stuff again, let alone what I'm doing now. So now I am 100% pain free. I have zero pain. Knock on wood. I I don't have full movement in my toes, but it's just become kind of my norm. Um, there's nothing that I'm limited to do. I ran a 15-mile Ragnar race and trail race,
Whoa.
which was really cool. So just over time, it just
And now you're back, and you don't feel the limitation.
no, again, not limited at all. So it's been pretty cool to see that.
Obviously, it's 2025, and so that's about a 5-year journey to where you are today.
Yeah,
How long was it before you felt like you were back to like,
back to
I'm
that,
back to myself now?
to where I felt comfortable going a little heavier Olympic lifting was probably 3 years, maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Which feels like an eternity.
yeah.
That's a long journey.
2 years, 2 to 3, yeah.
I've got some family members. I know some people close to the family that have drop foot, and they've just basically said, "Well, this is it.
Yeah.
This is life now." And so they've got like a little strap that they wear on their foot to kind of keep their foot up and keep from experiencing all the like ankle rolls and things that you're mentioning. And so to hear that you really attacked it, and you had some help, but you really attacked it, and you're back to essentially, dang near 100% and doing all of the crazy things that
All
come along with this competitive sport. Pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been, like I said, a miracle and an amazing blessing.
Happy to hear you've overcome and you're getting back into your competitive juices are flowing again.
Oh, yeah.
Because you also mentioned like your aspirations. It sounds like just being healthy, being competitive is kind of priority one. But you'd mentioned the CrossFit Games. Is this something that's on the radar? Like, are you making a push here? You want to do this one of these days?
I committed to this year, and I've committed.
Right.
So, like a year ago, Tommy, who you met, he approached me and was like, "Hey, would you want to like train hard together and see how we could do?" And I didn't answer right away. I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I think I can. Like, again, I'm at a point with my son, like for the last how many years, it's just been he's been my focus. And now I'm like, oh, he wants nothing to do with me. So now I have time. and I have some help with my family, and I switched careers, like completely switched careers. So that's helped, and just my schedule and being able to, I was a personal trainer. I owned a gym, just a strength and conditioning gym. And I think my focus was so much on everybody else in the fitness world. And so now leaving the fitness world as my job, I can kind of refocus on doing it for me and kind of finding that passion again. And I've committed every day.
It's what
Um,
it takes.
so,
Yeah.
so yes, I was very happy with how the open went, and I'm going to Alabama for semis, and
Oh, you are. I'll be eager to hear what that experience is like, and naturally I'll talk to Jason, and he'll give me the rundown. But
yeah, I'm excited.
we're working with locally trying to figure out how the heck we're going to pull this thing
Yeah.
off. Like it
Well,
is
that
just
was it.
required.
It was like it's very hard logistically here, or it's very hard logistically to like take a flight and go down there. I'm like, choose your heart. I'm choosing to go, and yeah, I'm like, I've worked this hard this year, so I'm gonna try and see if I can do it.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. I'm so rooting for you. I'm probably going to follow up with you and check in. Now, I mean, I got your phone number now, so I'm definitely going to check in, see how things are going. I think you had said you've been CrossFitting for a long time. I think like 14 years or so from kind of where it started to where you are now. It's just an awesome history and certainly a lot of experiences that came along with that. You've been doing Boulder, I think, for about 9 months now. I'm just curious, like how you got into it and what your
Yeah.
experience has been like.
So Tommy, he was doing it. He was pretty close to, I think, joining when it started. But when he approached me, he had been doing it, and he said, "You want to do this with me?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll try it." So I kind of just was like doing the workouts with him before actually like buying it and like like I said, I wasn't doing CrossFit a year ago. I wasn't doing CrossFit full time. Just watching the progress happen pretty quickly was amazing. Not being bored, just loving the workouts, loving the variety, and as a master's, not feeling beat up or injured. Like I think that was a fear of mine. Was like, okay, well, I've just overcome this injury. I'm doing good. I don't want to do the crazy, like I don't want to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel great. I mean, yes, are there days where I'm like wiped or exhausted or
Yeah, no
hard
doubt.
and everything, but I'm not hurt. I feel great. I can't wait for the next workout most days, and just the community it's awesome too. Just so fun to know that you're not doing this alone, to see the scoreboard and to have the fist bumps and all that.
Mhm.
I wish we'd get some more women. I
Yeah, right?
I feel like we could use some more females
No doubt.
on the
Lindsay called that out, and I think it was like our second podcast or something. She's like, "Yo,
she's like, yeah,
Jason,
come on,
let's
ladies,
get some ladies." Yeah.
let's go.
Hey, let's go. I mean, we need your
I
help,
mean, it's
Ashley.
fun, it's fun, but there's certain workouts where I'm like, I can't compete with the guys with this one. But
You got to help us put those recruiting chops on,
yeah,
Ashley.
yeah,
We're game. In advance, you had shared just a little bit of your background, and this quote stood out to me, so I'm going to read it back to you because I just loved it. Boulder's been the best program I've followed. I've seen so much growth over the past 9 months that I wasn't sure was possible again. I'm 42 and in the best shape of my life. Like that needs to go like on a bumper sticker or something. That's it's so good.
yeah.
And now, given what you have shared and a little bit more that I know about your background, to say that you're in the best shape of your life at this stage of your life,
Yeah.
overcoming what you've overcome, that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I'm excited that you're there, and it's good news because if you're going to make it to the CrossFit Games,
Right.
kind of
Right.
a requirement at this point.
Yeah. I want other, whether it be other moms, other single moms, other women, starting to get into those like, oh gosh, like I wake up in the sweats and I'm like, am I going through menopause? Like, like just like that, that stage of life. And to say like, I'm still going, like I'm still right.
Mhm.
And it's not, if you want to commit to something, like make that commitment and do it, whether it doesn't have to be fitness or health, but like, obviously that's what I want to promote. We don't have to give up our lives for our kids. We could still have our own life, or we could still have our health, and we can still be examples to them and do all the things with them. I love like when I'm at an event with him. He had this like little school fundraiser 5K years ago. There was very few parents who like got out there and ran with their kids, and that was like sad to me because that's what it's like meant to be, like this family fun run. And you just see like half the parents just like standing there. And I'm like, no, like get out there, do it with your kids, like play with them, like still have fun. Just because I'm 40 doesn't mean I'm going to stop playing or I'm going to stop having fun and doing things with my kid. So I want to kind of be an example and for other
Well,
people out there watching.
well, no question, you are an example. And like, I love the fact that you have a very clear goal of the CrossFit Games. It could be anything, but just having something, that's keeping you motivated is always, it can be healthy. I think in this case, it probably is healthy. But regardless of whether or not that happens, the fact that you've made a commitment to something and you're demonstrating this is what commitment looks like that is the takeaway.
Yeah.
And so would your son be really stoked if mom made it to the CrossFit Games? I'm sure he would, that'd be really cool, really cool. But the more powerful thing is like the journey there and like all the things that you're teaching along the way and the things that he's observing in the process. That's really, really cool. And so kudos to you.
Thank you.
Well, Ashley, this has been awesome. I've
Thank
totally
you.
dug this. Thank you for making time. And I'm really glad that we get to share stories like yours. And I'm really glad that you had the courage to step out of your comfort zone and do this.
Thank you.